one issue that everyone is concerned about right now is the economy.
Right.
And this gives us a very interesting aspect because you're actually an economist, which should make it a very interesting conversation. Hopefully not too much over people's heads. Jobs.
Mm-hmm.
We need jobs in the southern tier. We need jobs in New York State. We need jobs in the country.
Right.
So it's local, it's state, it's federal. We've heard from, on each of those levels, elected officials who stated that we need to raise taxes because that's the only way to pay the budget, and in paying down the budget, we'll create jobs.
Yeah.
What is your stance on that, and how do you propose to try and bring in jobs?
It's funny because what they do to meet the budget is generally to tax businesses and those people who are creating jobs.
Mm-hmm. We're the rich class.
Well,
quote unquote.
There was a time when if you owned a business, you would pretty much be stuck where you were. If you go far enough back in history, people didn't pick up their grist mill and move it,
right,
to another state. It was where it was. But nowadays, that's not the case. Most businesses now are very portable. Things like the internet allow you to sell across state lines.
International.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. If you're in banking, you can have a bank headquartered anywhere and do business. If you notice, many of the banks are headquartered in Delaware. Why is that?
More often than not, yes.
Yeah. Well, the answer is simple. Delaware has laws and regulations that are friendly to banking.
True. True.
So they attract the banking business, and you'll find that in other states. Obviously, Nevada is friendly to gambling.
Yes.
States like Indiana, pharmaceuticals and insurance companies headquartered in Indianapolis.
True.
We're not friendly to anybody here.
Nothing I can think of, that's for sure, yeah.
And so when a company, let's take IBM,
okay,
decides that the oppression by the state has reached a certain point, they start looking other places. Sometimes it's overseas. If we're taxing corporations at a 50% rate here, I'm going to pull that number out of the air. It's not quite that bad. But Ireland is taxing at a 14% rate.
Which is accurate, yeah.
You get up and you go. It makes sense.
Yes.
So the most important thing is to lower the taxes on the people who can create jobs and not fall for the mistaken impression that we're going to have everybody, work for the state, which is where we are now. We have more state employees per capita than any other state in the union. The numbers in some areas of the state reach 1 out of 5 workers is working for some government entity in the state. That includes schools, municipalities.
That's insane.
Yeah, it is.
That's an insane proportion.
Yeah, it's like you and I, we have a family of 4, we got that 5th guy sitting at our dinner table every night.
Just because he showed up.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It is. So, we have to pare that down.
Right.
And I'm not advocating mass layoffs. But the other thing you have to look at is the public employees are earning more than the private sector employees. We've seen articles recently to that effect. There should be some comparable pay scales.
Parity of some sort.
If you're a secretary in the private sector and you earn X, then somebody who is a secretary in a government office shouldn't earn 2X. They shouldn't earn twice as much as someone doing the same sort of job for a law firm or a medical company. But that's where we are right now.
You want to cut the taxes.
You want to cut the taxes.
Cut the taxes for businesses
Yeah.
And all incomes or the higher incomes? I just want to clarify that a little bit.
Well, unfortunately, it's only, the higher incomes are really paying taxes.
Understandably,
yeah.
Over,
Yeah.
the top 5% pay well over 50% of everything.
Right.
So I can understand it. It makes sense.
Yeah, if 47% of the people don't pay any taxes, cutting taxes for them is kind of a moot point.
Okay.
It becomes more of an entitlement as we're giving money to them as
Okay.
opposed to not taking anything. No, we have to cut taxes on people who can create jobs. You own a business.
Yes.
It probably would be helpful at some point if you could expand that business.
I would love to. Can't afford it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the honest truth. And I know a lot of other small business owners
Sure.
can't either. It's not affordable.
One of the toughest things is to hire your first person, because you almost have to hire a second person just to do the paperwork for the first person.
Yes.
And there's no understanding of that. Something simple like, for my business, is filling out a sales tax form every 3 months. That form, when I first opened the business 11 years ago, was 1 page, 2 sides. It's
Right.
now up to 8 pages.
Incredible.
Yeah. It's that sort of thing. And that's just a very simple example of what business people go through when you hire somebody. So we're basically punishing someone for wanting to do that. What happens? People, first of all, they hold off on hiring. If I can do the job in some other way, maybe give some overtime to some existing employees, hire outside consultants,
Independent contractors, anything
to keep
up with that.
Or you end up hiring somebody else to do the paperwork for you, which Tom Galisano is a perfect example. Tom Galisano runs a company called Paychecks.
Right.
All he's doing is processing payroll and doing all that paperwork for other, and he became a billionaire doing it.
Right.
You can see how onerous the task is if you're willing to pay someone enough that they'll become a billionaire in order to do the work for you.
Yeah.
Imagine what it's like for one of those big smokestack industries that are out there with, thousands of employees, and because there's a lot of regulations that we stack. If you only have 10 employees, you don't have to do certain things. But when you reach a threshold, then there's
25.
all sorts of new regulations on you. Well, that's a real incentive for that employer, if he's got 24 employees, never to hire that 25th, because there becomes a whole new pile of regulations on him for getting over that next hurdle. Medical insurance is one of the big ones. I mean, this is more of a national issue,
right.
But if you read the health care bills, you know that at certain thresholds, suddenly employers
have thresholds, and it makes a significant difference in.
So why
cost.
in the world would you hire the 25th person if you can find a way around it? We should not put disincentives for hiring, and that's what all these are.
Give that incentive back to the businessman and allow people to hire again like they used to 20, 30 years ago.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you agree with the theory, and this is one of the theories out there, it's an economic theory, or based on that, lowering the taxes, that puts more money into the consumer's hand, into the business's hand, and therefore they get to purchase more, and therefore the revenue comes to the state off of those higher sales, other products being bought, made, manufactured, and so forth.
It's